Hello, this is Lisa Russick.
And Misty Lore.
With the podcast, we are all psychic, and today we have a really cool guest, and I am very excited. When I saw her picture in the email, I thought I'd seen her before, but I don't know how. I know you somehow. Her name, if you would like to say hello, is Maetreyii Ma. I'm having a hard time with your name. I tried it. I told you I had to say it 3 times incorrectly before I get it right, officially. So would you like to say hello?
Hello, yeah, and it's Maetreyii Ma. You did it perfectly.
Maetreyii Ma. Okay, we did it. There's someone else in here doing it. That's why I said we. Do you think we're all psychic?
I do. I think that each of us has intuitive capacity within us, and some people develop it more. Some people maybe have it stronger than others, but it's there within everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. That's why we do this podcast. So, have you always felt that way? Have you always been like that open-minded to this, or has it been exposed to you at some time?
Yes, I would say. When I was a little girl, I had a lot of connection with nature, and I would call it intuitive connection to trees and to animals. And
yes,
felt that, and then a little bit later, when I was towards my teens, I really could feel other people's minds until they started talking, and then it went away. But but before they talked, I could get the sort of lay of their mind before they.
So
talked.
like a little bit of a telepathy thing, more than an emotional thing, like an empath. That's more telepathy, or
more like I'm very empathic. Yeah.
Okay. So when did you know those words and that those were things that those were terms that other people experience life that way, or did you think they did?
It was later that I knew terms, but I had my experiences as a child and psychic experiences, but what I would call mystical and spiritual experiences.
Yeah.
I think kind of go beyond the psychic level in some ways. As we open up psychically, we open up to our intuition, and when we open up to our intuition, it can connect us to a deeper level of reality. And then we get that through our intuitive subtlety when we begin tuning into the subtle, refined perception.
Yeah, I like that deeper layer of life. It does add a lot deeper layers and higher levels and layers this way and that way and this way. It's smaller and bigger. It is. You're right. It makes life have too many layers sometimes. So listeners and watchers, this is a video podcast on Spotify. Maetreyii Ma is a writer, and she's going to tell us about her new book. So would you like to introduce it to the listeners and watchers?
I will. I have it here. It's called Into the Heart of the Infinite, a spiritual memoir of an extraordinary mystical journey.
Oh, and this beautiful cover.
Yeah, isn't that great? It's Peter is who did the art. I actually got permission to use one of his beautiful pieces of art. He's a Dutch painter, and he's probably, I think, the best in the world of doing this type of classical Indian art.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's Radha and Krishna. So it's like the divine beloved and the soul. Radha symbolizes the soul and the soul heart connection. With Krishna, who symbolizes the divine.
Love that.
Yeah, that's.
So tell us about what inspired you to write the book. What motivated? Did you have a mystical experience that you wanted to write about, or is this more about mystical experiences in general?
This is my journey through life, and I had a lot of mystical experiences. As I said, it started out with nature as a child, and then I felt this divine presence come when I was maybe 11, 12, and I felt like I had, I'd never heard of reincarnation or anything. That was, I grew up in a suburb of Chicago, and that was not a thing, and but I felt that I had been with this divine presence that I felt before, and I felt connected, and I felt that this was really a godly being, and like Christ or something. I thought maybe it was Christ because that was the only being of that type I'd ever heard of, And it kind of started out that way, and then I went through a psychedelic period, and then I went into yoga and meditation. But through it all, there's this theme of having these profound experiences of the unitive consciousness of being, the wholeness of life, and that divine love, that can encompass us. And so I had a lot of profound experiences over the years, and they've kind of come in phases in my life, I think.
Yes.
And experiencing to opening my heart and experiences this incredible love for the divine and this connection. And then when I was meditating, I was probably in my early 20s, and I was beginning meditation, and every day I would meditate. I was a little nervous about having unusual experiences. I started meditating, and then I stopped because I started hearing sounds far away, and these things were happening.
Yeah, like, what's happening? Is this supposed to happen? What's going on?
And then but I really wanted to meditate. I really wanted to have that connection.
That divine love. You can feel it when you can get in touch with it. That's a wonderful feeling. It's the best feeling.
And I wanted that. So I started meditating again, and then nothing happened. It was really peaceful. It was really nice. And then after about 3 or 4 months of this, I did twice a day meditation, and I was finishing one of my meditations, and I realized that I was hearing this voice internally, and that I'd been hearing this voice internally for months, but that I'd been forgetting it the moment I got out of meditation, so that it didn't scare me because I forgot it. But by the time I remembered it, and I remembered that I'd been having this experience for months, I was just really in love with this. It was like when I was a child, except this divine presence was actually giving guidance, and said that his name was Baba, which is a very common name for spiritual teachers in India.
I didn't know that, but I've heard it before.
Yeah.
Polish names. Yeah.
Yeah, I've never heard it.
Baba, that right. But his name, he said he was Baba. And then I began to have this internal experience, and some profound and intense experiences happened. And then I received guidance to go to India to meet him in his physical form.
Wow.
So I met him internally, and then I had all these beautiful experiences. Like every word he would say, there was this period of time where every word would be like a drop of divine nectar, like dropped into my mind. Like he would say something that would be perfect justice. And then, sort of like a crystal, and you have the facets, perfect love, perfect beauty, and these different divine qualities would play out, and they were just mind-boggling, exquisite, and
Wow.
So I began to have those kinds of divine experiences, if you will. and then Baba guided me to go to India to be with his physical form, which was I'm skipping a whole lot.
I'm sure you are, but this is fascinating. And when you got there, he knew you and stuff? I mean,
no, it wasn't like that, because I never. He gave darshan, which is sight of the guru. I went to India, the backwaters of India in Patna, and I was really this was 1970, and I was in authentic India. India is no longer this way. There was no air conditioning, no refrigeration, no anything. It was authentic India of thousands of years. And he was there, and twice a day he would come out and he would give these talks. And in those days, he gave them just during that period. After that, never in English. But in those days, when I was there, he gave them in English. And so I was able, and I had a lot of interesting experiences, like things he had told me in the inner Baba, in the inner guide. He would give a whole darshan on that topic. Like one example is when he first came to me, he said I was going to Southern Illinois University, and I was, in the middle of nowhere, and he said, "I am your Kula guru." I went, I didn't know anything about anything like that, so I said,
I wouldn't either.
Can you spell it? So he spelled it. I got the guidance. He spelled it. I went to the university library and I looked it up, and it meant sheep herder. I went, sheep herder? What is that?
Humble. Or are you the sheep?
I'm the sheep. But it meant sheep herder. And so then I went to, when I was in darshan with Baba in his physical form, he gave a whole talk about the meaning of Kula Guru. And in the tantric traditions, it really means the guru of the Kula Kundalini. And so the spiritual energies rising up, it's the one who helps with that process of the spiritual energies rising up. And so I was in India with him, and I think that I had a lot of different experiences. Some of them
they're all in the book, though. Is this book like a memoir, pretty much? Everything leading up to that, and
that's what it is. It's a memoir.
I love memoirs. I am so excited. Is it out already, or is it coming out?
It came out on the 16th of this month. So it just...
Y'all talk for a minute. I'm going to order this book.
On Amazon.
I will get it.
Yeah, I think you might enjoy it. It really, in fact, I've had a number of people tell me they can't put it down. They read it. I
bet. Now your speaking is really descriptive and beautiful. That's like you've written poetry or something. You speak poetry. I have a question for you. Would you, I don't know if you'd be shy about this, but would you read a passage from your book for us? Maybe about one of the experiences you had, if you can find one.
I will.
I'd love to hear or read a passage. Like something you like, one of your favorite parts, maybe one of your favorite experiences. I'm getting so excited. I love memoirs.
Let me see what I can find.
Okay. And Misty, I know you have questions, so you got some stash piled up. You're okay.
I want to listen some more.
Yeah, I want to hear some more too. I can't imagine all the stuff you've done. Oh my gosh. If it was 1970 when you went to India, this is where you put your life since then, I guess. Yeah.
I've had a lot more experience since then, obviously.
I bet.
You can't sum it up in an hour, yeah. Or one book, I imagine.
This is actually an LSD experience. So this was...
Can you say that one more time? I'm sorry.
LSD experience, but it's very profound spiritually. And this was early on my path, when I was in my early 20s, before I got into meditation.
Cool.
Okay. I have taken the magic capsule, and reality is altering. As is the usual pattern, time is slowing down. The experience of love and union unfolding. It deepens as before, and time becomes ever so slow, almost with no movement. I lie on my bed, lost in the experience, unable to move. The feeling of love and union are total. I lose awareness of myself as a person. Deep ecstatic feelings are in full bloom, when suddenly, like breaking through a membrane or a dimensional veil, the ecstatic unitary love simply ceases. Piercing the veil, time seems to stop. I am not a person with a body. That is long gone. I am aware. My awareness, or should I simply say awareness, follows a singular point of light through a kind of void. Then this light pierces another veil of some kind. In an instant, the universe, the entire manifest universe, flashes before me, or before awareness. And a single stunning realization reverberates throughout. I have created all of this. It never existed in the first place. With this stunning realization, I see planets, solar systems, galaxies, and universes folding into themselves. All manifest existence folds into itself, implodes, and ceases to be. Time absolutely stops. There is no time, no space, no movement, and no bliss. There is only awareness, consciousness, a knowing wavering between existence and non-existence. I would say this is a void, but a void is something, and this is awareness without an object. The manifest universe is gone, truly gone. The experience does not seem like an illusion. It seems very real, more real than anything I have ever known. I cannot say it is appealing or that it is not appealing. It simply is, unmanifest, without attribute, something between existence and non-existence. And then even knowing is gone. Beyond that, there is no memory. Then somehow I am back. I exist again in the experience of bliss and unitary wholeness. Time, although moving very slowly, is again in motion. The union I experience is blissful, but doesn't feel correct. There is a confusion. One experience and then the other is strange to me. I had been unformed. I do not know why or how I am again formed. I experience a fundamental contradiction. All of this was gone. I was gone. How can I be here? How is time moving? And I am back in this body, in this life. I cannot understand. There is this feeling, this sense that I have ceased to be and should not be here again. Then, after some time, the experience of union and love also begins to decrease in intensity, and time begins to pick up and movement, as in past experiences. But I cannot shake the discomfort I feel, as if I have re-entered reality at a slight tilt. The basic contradiction makes me unsettled. I know that I can never reach these states again on LSD. I know instinctually that psychedelics have done what they are meant to do, and I can never open this door again through psychedelics. As the LSD slowly wears off and I return to my normal waking consciousness, I know very clearly this path is closed.
That's amazing.
That was beautiful.
I was wondering if that was how, if you had found, like, after using LSD or mushrooms or any kind of psychedelic, if you found that you wanted to do that with meditation. And that's what you just said, basically ending it with, you wanted to find another way to.
Yeah. I feel psychedelics are, they're a look-see door. Come look through the door, but they're not really a walk through a door.
I agree. Right. They don't stay. I guess if you stayed constantly on LSD, it might be. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. But, once you're in that place, did you do, I don't know if you experienced, like, when I experienced the divine love from, like we had talked about in the emails, like, is it a creator? What is it? But I feel like time isn't, like, what you just described is kind of the feeling I get, like, if I were to describe a place surround, like what divine love is like, but the feeling of it is there. Oh, when I ask my guides or God or angels, can you give me a feeling? I usually ask for gratitude first, and then I'll be like, feel the sense of gratitude, and I'll find things to be grateful for, and then I'll be like, can I please have the feeling of divine love? And they'll give me a feeling of just, the feelings. It's just, you can't explain it. It's amazing. No. There's words for it. Right here.
It's from your heart.
It is all love.
And isn't it like you're always trying to get back that feeling? Once you get it, you're always trying to get right back to it.
We had a guest saying they were trying all their lives. She was a really great guest. She was saying she's kept trying all her life to get back to that state of mind. Mm-hmm. And I think she has achieved it through meditation. But I told her I couldn't stay in that state because I wouldn't be able to do anything.
I know, right?
Yeah. I mean, in the true state, you can't do anything. You're in the presence of a love that's so great, so
you need nothing.
Intense. Yeah. It's even hard to exist in its presence, and you really need to just let go and surrender into it, because it's a love that is a love and a light, a beauty that's beyond.
There is just love. When I felt that, it just felt like there is nothing in the world but love. Right. And it's just hard to explain what that love is or how it feels. It's not like romantic love. It's not like infatuation. It's not like friendship love. It's kind of like some family love. If you're really close with that family member, maybe close, but I haven't given birth to a child, but I've raised children and, stepchildren. And I felt times where I felt that kind of love for them.
Right. Exactly. And I think for a lot of people, either in a close relationship with someone where you just feel like you become one with them, you really.
Yes.
Or else in nature, sometimes it happens for people, you're like in the mountains and you're just like hiking or something, and you just like look at the mountains or something, or at the ocean, and you just feel that your mind goes out into it, and you're, and there's just this melting into it, right? So that, I think people experience it through different, it's always there. It always exists.
Yes.
And it's available to us in different ways. Or if you have an inner intuitive guidance, it sounds like you have that the divine comes to you and in that guidance and can make itself known to you. That presence makes itself known, and you feel the bliss of that presence being there.
Yeah, it's bliss. It is bliss.
So but how do you obviously you get to that point by meditating. We can all probably agree on that.
You can.
You stay there is what I want to know.
Well, that's the life journey, and that's my book is about that journey.
Oh, you gotta get the book to find out, Misty. I'll let you borrow mine. I'm getting the book. I love memory.
Yes. Yeah, and it's really, for each of us, we each have our own unique journey, but there's certain elements and certain times reading about somebody else's experience can resonate. Open you up to supporting your own experience. Mm-hmm. But there is a place, and for me, it's been a life journey. For a long time, it was, there's the world, and it's okay, but it's nothing compared to if you felt that God presence, if you felt that divine presence or that divine guidance, and you felt that bliss. It's like, there's nothing else like that, right?
Right. And I'm so glad that that's going back to what you said earlier about the layers of life, the layers of reality. There's just so many more.
Right. So this mundane world, but then beneath it, and really encompassing it, is this incredible, I like to call it divine, intelligent consciousness.
Ooh, I like that.
Is intelligence. It's the intelligence that has created all of manifestation within itself, with that intelligence. It's never, nothing is apart from it, because everything is created within that intelligence itself, within that divine intelligence that operates the universe, right?
Yes.
What I found in my own experience, because I had this duality that you're talking about, and I definitely had that on LSD, that's why I did LSD. LSD was great. And then I come off of LSD and it's,
it's mundane.
Yeah. How do I get back? Yeah.
And then, that obviously had a problem there with that. And then I got into years of meditation, and I went to India to see my guru. That was all very mystical and profound, and I had a lot of magical experiences. And then I had these years of meditation. But then the thing that happened over the years, and then as I began to unfold again spiritually, and a lot of other profound experiences happened, mystical experiences, I really began to feel what's opened for me in more recent years is the feeling that all of this is God. You know, that pure white light, pure that is, you know, you can't be in its presence without crying, without feeling. You're just, it's beyond anything human. But it is embodied. It has embodied in all of creation, and every blade of grass and every ray of sunshine, and in the trees and the animals and in people. It's in a rock, you know, it's in everything. So that consciousness is the core of everything. Not, you know, it isn't, it is, the form lies within it, but within the form, like I'm looking at this beautiful plant in front of me, and I can see these beautiful leaves and the life force of this plant, you know, moving forward and wanting to live and enjoy light and the beauty of life. And that is, in its essence, its divine being manifesting as a plant. And I think where we come to that integration, or where I've found integration, is where the world, which seemed very mundane and separate when I was young, began to be that it's all one, it's all part of the whole. And so the ability to feel that divine presence and that magic of that presence is all around you, that really begins to blend the whole things, so that the mundane becomes sublime. It's a transformation which occurs with a spiritual transformation of consciousness, so that there is a non-dual experience of.
I hope that's where we go. I hope you're leading the way. There's many of people who have, you know, these who do what you do. They can experience divine love and teach other people how to feel it through their writing or however you do it. I can tell you, I can feel it when you talk about it starting to. I'm like, no, I'll fall asleep. I'll relax too much. You know, you have a way of like almost invoking it in me. I don't know if Misty, you have that same feeling of like love coming up when she talks about it.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
It seems like you can kind of teach people how to feel that somehow if they're on their own way, you know?
She's got the knowledge in her. She knows.
Yeah.
She knows.
You've got to have some questions for.
You know, it comes from the experience of it. And that I do feel that presence. And there was a time in the 1990s when my guru left his physical form, and I had guidance that he wanted me to start. You know, I'd always received guidance. I'd always been guided and cared for, and I, you know, had all this divine guidance, never asked anything of me. And suddenly it's saying that he wanted me to bring this through for other people. And I had a big reaction to that. I went through a lot of.
What was the big reaction?
You know, he said, I was in India at the cremation ceremony and everything. And then Baba came to me internally and was saying, I want you, I'm leaving this Guru Shakti with you, and I want you to express my presence in the world. And I went, oh, no, things like this don't happen to ordinary people like me, you know?
Yes, they do.
So I kind of like went into denial, you know, I was like, can this be real?
That didn't happen. That kind of thing. Yeah.
Be real, you know? And nothing was manifesting at that time. So I didn't have any sense that there could be any reality in it, you know, and I was like freaking out. So I struggled with it along with the grief at losing my guru, but I struggled with it. And then it's all in my book, it's sort of a dark night of the soul. Yeah. And I went into denial. I went, okay, I'm a psychologist, and I think I just got carried away in this experience, and this just, I'm an ordinary person, and this kind of thing I'm not a teacher, and this kind of thing can't happen to me. And I tried to like push it away. And I started having these terrible panic attacks.
Oh, I bet you did. Yeah.
I know how that goes. Yes. Yeah.
This was not a successful strategy. Yes. I had these horrible panic attacks, And after a few months of the panic attacks, I went, wait a minute, this is not working.
Get out.
With this, And so I did, and I accepted what Baba was telling me, and I just said, okay, I'm going to go with it, And then the panic attacks, when I came to terms with it, the panic attacks went away. That was the end of that. Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And then, then what happened is, as over time, over a few years, this flow began, and it began to be stronger and stronger. And at first it was just like, I'd say 3 words, and then someone would write them down. I'd say 3 more words, and whoa, it became a sentence,
Yeah.
And I was like feeling like, oh, I can do this. And then it became a flow. And I don't call it channeling, because I don't feel Baba is an entity. I feel Baba is like a doorway of form in front of the formless, in front of the infinite,
You feel like, because the teacher is Baba, that's the name for a spiritual teacher in India, right, Baba? Or in that?
Yeah,
maybe it was Father, all the Babas, or I don't know if that's the correct word. All the knowledge of all of those types, the Babas. Is it Baba?
I think divine presence is there, and whether it manifests as an angel or as Christ, or it manifests as Baba, or it manifests,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Yeah.
It manifests, but it isn't necessarily, it's not a person per se. It is an embodiment of divine presence.
Okay.
And so I feel like Baba is a doorway to divine presence for me.
Yeah.
And when that coming through is really surrendering and opening up to that, and letting that flow into the world, and that has been a very, very powerful experience that has grown over the years, and then eventually come to the recognition through so much of the teaching that I received, that this is all God. This is all part of divine whole, even the painful parts, even the part where we struggle, where we're in pain, where we're ill, where we have issues, where we have losses, all of that is part of the whole. Life is, life in this plane that we're on is not just all good,
Yeah.
We wish, but that's not how it is. It's part shadow and difficulty, and part joy and love. But even that shadow and difficulty, if you take this feeling of divine presence that you can feel in your heart, and you open that up to everything, then even, everything is part of that.
Yeah.
And then it comes to question, what do we lose? What do we gain? If it's all God, if it's all, forms change, but love remains one.
It does. You're right. It is. It's the glue. It's the, as we've had a sacred geometry guest one time who really loved it. And she shows us, that there is an intelligent design through the podcast with all the shapes, in the sacred geometry. How could this exist without an intelligent design? It's easier to understand than, calculus, I think. Seeing shapes everywhere. They're all around the basic shape,
I used to study when I was in college. I studied with Bucky Fuller. Are you familiar with him and his work?
No.
person who invented the geodesic dome, and he was always into the triangle is the basic structure of the universe. And then I got into yogic philosophy, and the triangle is the basic structure of the universe.
Yeah, equilateral triangle. Yeah, that's what they. Yeah, it's amazing. I've always kind of wondered if our divine, if we have a creator, and I do believe we do now. I didn't used to. I wasn't sure. I was agnostic more. I do believe there's a creator. Sometimes I feel like there's like 3 consciousnesses associated with that creator. Does that make sense? Like the number 3 just appears all through all our mysticism, you know?
Yeah.
And triangle, in Catholicism, we have the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. You know, I was raised Catholic, and it's the shamrock, you know, or the clover. And, you know, a lot of in witchcraft, you know, 3 times this, say it 3 times, all the juju stuff, you know, energy work, all involves the number 3 heavily, or 12, which adds up to 3. And I just find that very interesting. To me, it kind of feels like, I wonder if there's a consciousness like that, but we can't maybe comprehend it, you know. But
in yogic teachings, they say that, you know, there's consciousness, Shiva or Purusha, and there's Shakti or Mother Nature, you know, that force which creates you. And of that creative force, the paintbrush is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, which is Sattva is the sentient principle, Rajas is the mutative principle, action, motion, and Tamas is the static principle, that which holds. Yeah. So there are 3, and the combination of these 3 make the 5 elements.
Okay.
And the 5 elements make all of the created universe, right?
Yeah.
So it's the 3 called gunas, or operative forces, create the 5 elements in different proportions. So the air element would have a lot of sattva and not very much of the static principle, but the earth element would be very high in the static principle and not much of the sentient principle, and not much of the mutative. Fire and heat and sun, and that would all be mutative principle dominant, right? And those 3 principles move to create those elements.
So it's kind of like astrology, the mutable, the fixed, and the cardinal signs, like the 5 that go together. Maybe they could be looked at like that with the elements. I don't know. I like to put it all together sometimes. That's just really cool. I don't know much about. Is it Hindu religion or Hinduism? You're speaking of, or
no? It isn't Hinduism. Hinduism and Buddhism.
Buddhism. I'm so sorry. Yes.
No, Hinduism and Buddhism have their origins in yoga.
Oh, okay.
Yoga is the esoteric philosophy that predates Hinduism and Buddhism.
Okay. How old is it? Do you know? Does anyone know? Was it forever ago, or?
Yeah, a little hard to tell.
Kind of like we don't know, but they say so kind of like that.
Rappan civilization, which was 5,000 years ago, and maybe there's cave things 12,000 years ago. So it's really hard to know.
No, you don't know. Yeah, just like podcast statistics.
Yeah. It's but it is the esoteric philosophy that came down and was in the writings like the Upanishads and the Bhagavad Gita and things like that, and out of those formed those religions. But there's esoteric spirituality, which is, you know, whether it's Christian esoteric spirituality or Eastern esoteric spirituality of yoga, it's a basic understandings that underlie the exoteric religions.
That's really cool. I have to learn some more about Eastern philosophies, and whatever I've learned about Eastern philosophies, and I wouldn't call it religion. I don't know much about their religions. I just know some. But I'd really like to know more about their philosophies. And I had read a lot of Buddhist philosophies when I was younger. I really like Buddhist philosophies. You inspired me to get back into it. What's that? Living, Love, the Yoga of Yama and Niyama. Oh, you wrote that too.
This is another one of my books.
Oh, okay.
This book has 5 awards.
Oh,
it's Global Book Award, Indie Book Awards. It's won all kinds of.
I'm going to get that one too.
Yes, me too. I like that. Well, you've inspired us. You really, really have.
You have, and I was in a bad mood. But I'm not
Somehow I knew that this podcast was going to lift me up. I don't know.
I feel lifted up. Thank you so much. I feel great. And where can the listeners and watchers find out about you? Do you have a website or social media?
I have a website, yoga, YOGA, ma.info. yogama.info. Or you can also do maetreyima.org, but that's hard to say. yogama.info.
I'll put that in the description, listeners. Is there anything else you'd like them to find you? Anywhere else you'd like them to find you?
On Amazon to find my books. And Into the Heart of the Infinite has been doing bestsellers status in a lot of categories. And it has, it's on Amazon. Living Love is also on Amazon. This is really a kind of yoga self-help book.
I love yoga. Yeah, I think that's awesome. And I know a yoga professional who might like that book too. So yeah.
These are the basic principles. They're called ethical principles, but they're really not. They're if you look deeply into them, they're psychological principles, like ahimsa. You've probably heard of ahimsa, like Martin Luther King worked with that, and Gandhi, where they tried to, it's to do no harm or
okay. Reiki does that too. Yeah.
Non-injury. So it's a principle of non-injury. And if you apply that to your life, it really changes how you operate in the world and who you are, and makes you so much more open to spirit, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Intend loving kindness and intend to do no harm. Really try not to harm other beings. It really makes a difference in your ability to embody and to connect with spirit. And same thing when Satya is another one, which is a principle of benevolent truthfulness. And so if you are deeply truthful with yourself, not in a negative tear yourself down way, but in a really acknowledging yourself and then seeing deeply into your issues, but also seeing the loving true self that's underneath all of that, then that self-honesty, as well as, of course, being basically honest in the world, right? That as you deeply apply these, they really are principles that can really help you to kind of life you want to lead. So this is the yoga, live in the world.
I love it. I'm getting it. I'll put a link to her Amazon author profile also in the description of the podcast, listeners and watchers. Yeah. And I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Everclear. Everclear is an advice app where you can get advice from psychics and empaths to get the clarity you need to create the life you deserve. Speaking of creating the life you deserve, you just said that.
Yeah.
And I have one last piece of advice, maybe for the listeners and watchers. I was thinking, do you have any idea for a good question to end off with, Misty? Do you have any questions you might want to?
I don't have a question, but I do have something to say. If nobody gets anything from this podcast, but one of the things that she said, and this really, I can relate to this. When you go through really bad things in life, it doesn't necessarily mean it all comes to a meaning. It all means something.
Nothing happens for nothing.
Right. And I can so relate to that because I've had some very hard, I've had a rough life, and I can look back and think, gosh, I made it through that, but I was open in that, and that gave me love, and that helped me get through it even more. So I just want to say, if there's anybody that's having a really hard time out there, to remember that, to remember to always have your heart open with love, and you will learn from it and you'll grow from it. Definitely grow from it, and you'll be able to be able to write a book one day about how spiritually you've grown.
That's beautiful, Misty.
My book really, I've had my struggles too, Misty, and that's part of the path. That's part of
it is. That's where it got me where I am.
Yeah. And that's, so I talk not only about my mystical experiences, but my struggles, and how it was, how the challenges to open up, and it's not an easy path. The spiritual path is not an easy path, as the deeper you go in spirit, the more you really need to clear the inside you. Situations and circumstances arise in your life to help you do that.
Yes, you're right. You're right.
Yes.
I thought of a question. So how would you, like in Reiki, one of the Reiki principles, I think it is, it's we have 5 in Reiki, and one of them is just for today. They all begin with just for today. This one is just for today. I will be kind to every living thing. So how can we keep that idea of being like grateful and kind to other things or people or animals forward in our mind, like without forgetting we're doing that, like just keep it in the front of our mind. Do you have any advice for that?
It's not easy.
No.
One thing that I've found is just take remembrance every time you do an action, every time you do thing, anytime you can remember doing an action, think, this is all divine love. This is all God. This being before me is a divine being, a wonderful being, even if they don't know it, even if they're, totally living in a self-deluded darkness that is making them act in ways that aren't very nice.
Yeah.
In their deepest self, they are a divine being. In their deepest self, they are yearning for that love.
Mm-hmm.
And knowing that about every living being, and that having care for all beings, and just remembering that. And sometimes every time you do an action is a time to remember. Maybe you just say to yourself, God is love.
I like that.
Love is everywhere.
A lot.
Just keep love is everywhere. It's like keep
I can do that.
Thoughts in your head that it is everywhere. God is everywhere. Love is everywhere. Creation is everywhere.
God is love.
Love it. That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's wonderful to be
a really great interview. You're fascinating to listen to. I just love.
You're just fascinating altogether.
Yeah, you are. I'm gonna get both those books for sure. And
I'm happy if it's brought any joy or wisdom into your life. So
already, absolutely.
Speaking to you.
Thank you so much, and Missy, thank you.
Thank you, Lisa.
And listeners and watchers, we love you.
Yes, we do.
We want to say goodbye now. It's hard for me to say goodbye, but we're gonna say it.
Goodbye.
Out.